2018. Good event so far for you?
So far, so good, and great to see you, Katie.
It's great to see you as well. I'm actually really excited to be here to learn more about CI/CD with GCP.
Great question, Katie. So what we are doing over here is we are using Google Cloud Platform's tools, specifically developer tools, to create a continuous integration and a continuous delivery pipeline.
Excellent.
So the tools which you are seeing over here specifically target 3 specific areas, which is storing your source code, creating a build and testing it, and then essentially deploying it.
So can you show me what demo you've built to walk us through those 3 steps?
Yeah, but before I go over there, let me take a step back and tell you more about the demo. So in the demo, what we are doing over here is we're really creating an easy way for our attendees to understand how you can set up a CI/CD pipeline in a really easy to do fashion. So what you would see is we would start from writing code and storing it. Now, we would obviously not be writing code. To write code, we would be actually pressing the red button to
Wouldn't
do
it
it.
be nice though if writing code was as simple as pushing a red button?
Obviously, I would really like that. So similarly, when the code has been written, we would create a build and test it using our offering, which we recently released at Next, which is called Cloud Build. Once it has been built, we would deploy it to, depending upon which environment you want, whether you want to deploy it to on-prem, whether you wanted to deploy it to cloud, we support both.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
let's walk you through the demo.
Let's get started and see this
let's
demo.
start with the demo. So the first and the foremost screen which you see on the screen is where do you want to store your source code? GitHub and Bitbucket, probably you might be familiar with, but Google itself comes with, Google has an offering which is called as Cloud Source Repositories,
Okay.
which is a private Git repo. We see our customers using cloud source repositories for 2 specific use cases. One, it comes with built-in integrations to GCP tools, and second, specifically with integrations to Stackdriver. It gives you really good debugging capabilities since cloud source repositories has built-in integrations with Stackdriver.
Okay.
So for today's demo purposes, let's say our source code is going to be stored in cloud source repositories.
Excellent.
As I said, what we do is we'll click the red button, and then it goes into writing the code phase. As you can see, we are really not writing the code over here manually. What we are doing is clicking the red button and playing the slot machine.
Okay.
So as we do it 4 times, the code gets written. The next step obviously is creating the build. So we have something called as Cloud Build, which is a CI/CD platform, which lets you create both containers as well as non-container specific builds.
Okay.
The 3 differentiators for Cloud Build specifically are scalability. As you start ramping up your builds across different team members and different projects, it still gives you fast feedback in a CI environment. The second is security. As we would see in the next part of the demo, it comes with built-in vulnerability scanner. And the third part of this Cloud Build which differentiates is the flexibility piece. So the biggest part of flexibility is it comes with a YAML file, and it lets you define build steps for specifically for building the containers or even non-container artifact, testing it and deploying it. How's the demo so far, Katie?
So far, something failed.
Something failed, and probably that's because I wrote some unit tests and they found some flaws in my build.
Okay.
So the next step obviously is fixing those flaws, and guess what? How are you going to fix those flaws? Again, by pressing the red button over here,
Of course.
right?
If only life was this easy, right?
Absolutely. So right now you would see in the background, Cloud Build triggers a build. The build will take 10 to 15 seconds to build, and we can see on the screen the progress bar. Once the build gets created, you can see the build results, the build time, the build queue time, the worker startup time, data transfer rate, and other things. But at this point of time, you have stored your source code, you have created a build, there's one piece still missing, the security piece. Right? You still need to ensure the build which you just created does not have any security vulnerabilities. So, Cloud Build comes with vulnerability scanner, which lets you scan your builds and ensure that the builds you have are really secure.
Great.
But for many organizations, the process doesn't even stop there. What they need is a way to have a policy set up as well. For example, they want a policy to ensure that none of the builds which have a security vulnerability can ever be deployed to production. And that's why many of the organizations would use vulnerability scanner with another tool which we released at Next, which is called binary authorization. using vulnerability scanner and binary authorization, you can essentially set up policies to decide what gets deployed, what doesn't get deployed. Right now, we are seeing only vulnerability scanner, and as you can see, it has found a vulnerability.
Okay.
So the next step, obviously, is to resolve the vulnerability. So we resolve the vulnerability by again clicking the red button. The vulnerability gets resolved, and you can see the scan being rerun over here. So till this time in the demo, we have created a build, we have scanned the vulnerability. The next step, obviously, is deploying the image. Now, for deployment piece over here, we are using Spinnaker. You must be familiar with Spinnaker since you work at Google. So Spinnaker is an open source tool which Google contributes to, which Google is a core contributor to with Netflix. Spinnaker makes the process of creating deployment pipelines across cloud, on-premise environments really easy and simple. So today, for the demo, we would be deploying to, let's say, cloud. On the screen, what you see is actually a blue-green deployment taking place. You would see Spinnaker going through different stages of the pipeline, and as it goes through different stages of the pipeline, you would see the color changing from blue to green. For example, right now, it's in the deploy new version to Kubernetes image. Now it's in the last image where it's trying to scale down previous pods, and you would see the color changing to green as soon as the deployment gets complete. Right now, looks like our app is deployed. You can see the app over here, and finally, you get all the matrices for building your app in a continuous integration and continuous delivery manner. Any other questions for me, Katie?
Well, I know that this was a very simple and efficient way to build an app, but from what I understand, what makes this helpful and useful is that it does allow teams to be much more efficient and productive. Is that correct?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things which you would see as a developer, I would rather focus on writing code rather than managing infrastructure, especially continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline. I want to get fast feedback on my code. I want to ensure what I roll out to production is of highest quality. So all those things are being built in through this pipeline. Developers are able to focus on code. Developers are able to get fast feedback on code changes through continuous integration. And through things like automated canary analysis, which we have built into Spinnaker, you ensure that what the code which you're releasing to production is of the highest quality possible.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing this demo with us and what makes it helpful to our developers. Enjoy the last few hours of Next.
You too.